Let's talk about Isack Hadjar next. Now, this is a kid who has definitely had some ups and downs so far in his very short Formula 1 career. He has made his full debut this season for the Racing Bulls. So let's go for the 5 things that we have learned about Isack Hadjar in Formula 1 so far in 2025. Now, the first thing that we learned, and I guess if people have been following his junior career like I did in Formula 3 and Formula 2, you would already know this, but he definitely wears his heart on his sleeve. He's a very passionate driver, and we've seen the emotion flood out of him as well. Of course, I'm talking about when he did not start, when he crashed out before the Australian Grand Prix even got underway earlier this season. Very emotional, very sad seeing him, crash out like that and then basically cry his eyes out through the paddock. Anthony Hamilton putting an arm around his shoulder and everything. He is someone who is very emotional, and we see the ups and the downs of that. He's very passionate when things go well, and also he's very sad when things don't go well. But the second thing that we have learned, despite the criticisms of people like Dr. Helmut Marko, who, look at my videos about him if you want to see that in more detail. That was embarrassing from Marko, but that's just my opinion. Not everybody agreed with me, of course. But the main thing is as well that he picked himself up. It would have been very, very easy for him to get down and just really kind of regress basically at that point. But he picked himself up, got on with things. He looked pretty solid in China, and since then he's also scored points as well in Formula 1, that's huge for him in a car that overall I would say is not that great. He did start very well at Australia, started better than what we expected, but I don't really see Racing Bulls getting much above 8th, 9th in the Constructors' Championship this season. So to score points, which is something that neither of his teammates managed to do in the same car, I don't believe. I don't know if Tsunoda actually got points while he was at Racing Bulls. I know he has now. Now he's at a Red Bull, but I know his teammate Liam Lawson has not scored any points yet. So for him to get points in Formula 1 so far, I think that's huge for his career, really. And overall as well, the third thing that we've learned, he's got on top of the car. A lot of people think that, he's going to struggle, being a new driver in Formula 1 with the Red Bull car kind of being passed down to the Racing Bulls, it being very difficult to drive. That's not really happened, and he seems to be comfortable in the car. He's getting into good points positions on a semi-regular basis, which again, that's something his teammate hasn't managed to do yet at all this season. So that is a big, big feather to wear in his cap as we go through this season. But in particular, you got to say that his qualifying performances have been really, really impressive. And it's not a huge surprise. If you followed him through Formula 2, Hadjar, especially in his first season, was very erratic. He'd just pull out some absolute worldy performances every now and again, get a podium out of nowhere when he was still a rookie in that series, get a pole position out of nowhere, or a really high qualifying position. And in qualifying in particular in Formula 1, he's been pretty impressive. I think he's had 2 Q3 appearances, and he's been pretty close on a few occasions too. I think in Australia he's P11, so he is a very good qualifier. That is the main area where I think he's been really impressive. But if you're going to criticize anything, the final thing, race pace, it's not quite been on the same level, and that might be the car. It probably is the car, in fairness, but the race pace on the whole hasn't been quite as consistent as qualifying has, but he's still been solid, I'd say. I don't think it's anything really to worry about, and I think as the season goes on, he's going to grow more and more into that role, and it's going to be a really interesting battle between him and Liam Lawson for the remainder of the campaign, because right now, as things stand on current performances, Hadjar is top dog, and Lawson is not going to take that line down. Absolutely not. But yeah, what are your thoughts about Isack Hadjar so far in Formula 1? If I was to give him a rating out of 10, I'd probably give him a 7. I think he's been good, not spectacular, shown some signs of brilliance, but overall a tad inconsistent. But hey, he's a rookie. You have to expect that. They're not going to come into Formula 1 looking like seasoned pros, because they're not. They're new to the sport, and they're very young men in some circumstances as well. I mean, these kids are literally kids, like 18, 19, 20 years old. So, give him some time. I'm sure he'll grow into it some more, Hadjar, and he's impressed me so far, to be honest. But what do you think about Isack Hadjar so far in Formula 1? Like, share, comment, subscribe, guys. As always, I do value your opinions. I do look over the comments as well. And yeah, see you soon for some more content on the world of Formula 1 just like this. Guys, have a fantastic day wherever you are in the world.